Morning. I wanted to speak with my counselor today, but the clerk said that they're not here, so I spent the rest 5 minutes sitting, but it was mostly inconsequential. I didn't even eat breakfast again. In the morning before that, I did wake up a little late since I stayed up late doing something again, but thankfully I was able to finish whatever I was doing. For period one, two challenges came off guard. First was another quiz boleto which uses audio, but my PC's headphone jack does not work. And I tried to hurry, and even though I asked if I could use my headphones, but my headphones might connect to my phone, causing an audio embarrassment and some random music piece will be playing from my phone, even though it's far away in the catty. That was challenge here is that the last one was that I forgot to turn in my conjugamos assignments, even though she said she'll accept late, so that grade is still pending. But this class moved rapidly, so I just turned in that assignment and I sacrificed willingly the boleto assignment, even as she said for us to close the PCs. Later, after that stressful moment, we continued on noun and adjective agreements, and people whispered here and there, but I already finished the first part requiring gender agreement, thankfully, but to prevent it getting picked again, I answered for and I said attractivos, which she made me repeat the whole sentence this time. The guy quickly corrected me near me to attractiva, since photos apparently is feminine because of the word photografia, so mini trick right there. Despite the trouble, she moved forward and called others, naming for special exceptions too. Later was the sentence part where we had to answer for gender agreements, and it was mostly easy past this point. But next was the highlighter, since I didn't have any, so I just stick to the colored pencil version of highlighters for ones I didn't have, and others I have, thankfully. But it's another noun adjective assignment where the color we highlight specific contexts, and the teacher used Spanish and English together and asked us to translate these to our pronouns from persons A to F of a little conversation that's going on, and we had to practice these. And I also noticed that new students also transferred in as this was going on. And the sentences were very straightforward and basic. We had to practice these for understanding. And then highlighting the parts care. She said no highlighting and that we're going to be reviewing this tomorrow. The class ended off quietly, even though everybody was asked to get their phones back right at the end of class. And for English, it was hot heading down to that class, but she announced for the teacher that we only need notebooks. And she says for us to write down our acronyms so she can understand how we do things and how we're going to apply this format. She also gave us back the paper that we did yesterday. Today's notes is about formal and informal writing. She gives an example of what we have to do know when and how these topics are used in writing, and we also learned in formal writing how obviously it does not use first and second pronouns, and mentions according to the writing, these types of words must be turned off, along with obviousness such as this will explain, which is not going to be used in any sort of writing. And I also noticed near me as people actually highlighted notes, and two people did a book game for work, even though the teacher was also saying them. The next part was abbreviations and slang words such as don't, which become do not and gonna into going to. And she said these notes are very old, and slang is about 2015 age old, back when Drake released that one song. And next were transitions, and her mention that they act as a bridge toward those given thoughts. And she says it as a metaphor when she once used a stick shift car, and well, she had trouble learning it then. Like stick shift, when we use these acronyms, inconsistently. It's like start and stop. So she gave an example of this from informal. Informal in terms of a rating of a school lunch, for example. I saw for number section this time that we do not use numbers in numerical form and that we always use it in the written form. And I saw that the sentence must also be restructured for that example. She mentioned that we'll also do peer review sessions later on in the year. And in the name, she said that we also use last names only for any book, character, or any information source in professional writing. The final challenge for this was our summary about these notes, but we can't be informal. And for our papers from yesterday, she wants us to review this with our notes. I had a challenge in summarizing it without pronouns, so it sounds more robotic than it is literal. It asks about what we learned, and but I think I should have asked. But tomorrow is when we refine our other essay paper from that one excerpt using that CRAW acronym. And everybody around me mostly talked about switching periods, sports, and also saw I keep playing games at this point. Heading down to period 3 math is our continuation of the Ferrari lesson. And teacher taught us a lesson that there was a cut at 21 feet. And this time we didn't know what S is for 0.03 S squared is equal to 31. So this time I used a calculator. And the teacher was very high energy while he was doing this, and he said everything with energy anyway. But our approximate answer was about 30 for this time. And as we entered the class before this, the teacher was very eccentric, and he was also sad that the Dodgers lost yesterday. So next, he asked regarding the math problem if when it was 15 feet away, and we also calculated that. Though a lot of students need help using the calculators. New students also transferred today. And next was the inverse of y equals 0.03 x squared, and we also had to write the table and all the info about it. And we were given 5 minutes by the teacher to finish this. We learned that this function is a reflection across y equals x, which is an inverse. And I got confused, but I realized at the end this lesson is just playing with the positioning of a parabola. So they're symmetrical no matter what positioning they go to. It's just reflected. So I asked for the vertical line test, and surprisingly, not many people in the class know it, but the teacher used my example. And a final piece was this: in that, in order for the function to be a function, once I have the parabola, cannot exist. That's why in the reflection, the parabola cannot be a function because both of the sides exist. So only one side has to exist. In that last 8 minute block, we were also instructed to continue the ready set go, but we were just barely finishing up that other pre lesson, so I don't think everyone finished yet. But right before period 4, I went to the boys' restroom and I saw the vapors there. And the thought after exiting threw me off because, well, I had to go to a building, but I don't remember which one for what period. So I noticed then that I'm supposed to go to this other building down there. So I just completely forgot out of my mind. I had my, thankfully, I was redirected, and I also noticed Kathleen and Yamo tied me up, but I ran awkwardly. But very formal. But period 4 for science, we picked yellow paper, but thankfully I was not marked late today. Today is the announcement where the teacher, as eccentric as she is, made a mini project, and we also draw an infographic on that on paper. Our goal is to draw an example of pollution and make art out of it. And she said no chat GPT, even though the class was laughing. The next one was our yellow worksheet, and that we must also fill out this given worksheet, for example. And I also didn't realize that a table peer near me took one of the lizards for petting, and the teacher gave bats to him, but we noted that the lizard might use restroom, even though I don't think he did. I finished up that infographic, but I still kept it bare bones so I could get to the yellow worksheet. So the lizard almost came to me, and even then the boys also joked that it's hunting after me. Though I still think everyone was confused on what to draw on my table, but eventually people caught up. People talked about relationships, others about fishing, and more about day-to-day life, as I can remember from this time. But I was a little on edge, though, because they brought that lizard to our table. But thankfully, tomorrow we still have time to continue doing the exact same thing. As for lunch period, today was a little bit of a coaster as the time, because I need to speak to my counselor for something. So I spent the first 5 minutes trying to talk to a girl, and I'm beginning to see that with this girl who's part, they're the ones who are leading students. I'm getting inconsistent stories, because there was these two older women who are a part of the actual school staff. They were saying that like my counselor is not here today. Like they're absent. You can meet him tomorrow or email him. But all of a sudden, like during lunch, this girl said to me that they saw my counselor after I gave him her like my last name. She was saying to me like, yeah, he was just here just a few seconds ago. So I don't know if she's confusing this with someone else, but I think I am getting a kind of a guidance slighted right here, so to speak. So I am not sure. This again, everybody might be like, she might be wrong. The counselors who are leading others to counselors might be wrong. So I have no idea. But regardless, though, she gave me three options since they're not available right now. I can wait, I can come back after lunch, or I can come back after school. And so my decision was that I had work to do, so I don't want to waste my lunch period sitting around in free agency. So what I did was that I wished the women clerk a goodbye, and I said I'd come after. I questioned if I'd come after, and yes, they would say yes, and I gracefully left the office as I went away back into lunch. So later down, I went to another one of my home stadium friend groups to push us in the metaphor, but this time they're talking about something personal today, so they didn't want any other people to be heading down to their group. So they didn't want me with the group at that time. So I would call this a strikeout, but under special reasons. That despite the awkwardness, though, I had to go back into pitcher mode in my baseball metaphor, because now we are completely displaced, but we still have some other friend groups to fall back to. So I had a few options where I could go back despite the awkwardness. I could choose to go pitch and head down to a completely new group, or we can bounce to an older one. So I saw one of my day one friend groups that I met, and I also saw one of my older ones a little bit back then. And I noticed that the safe guy that I go to is not there today. It's only the girl who's there. So the one that I had my history class with Lua. So I went back to his group, but only the girl was there. And this time I decided to finish up my science assignment and get a good portion of it complete. Though tomorrow I might have to reset a few of the answers because of conciseness. They want the exact answers. But nonetheless, though, I do say that the girl seemed sad for some reason. And for the lunch period, there was this large piece of ambient sadness around me. So I was mellow during this time, but nonetheless, I just practiced two of my basic fastballs. Can I sit down here? I asked if she was okay. She said yes, but I told her like if she's okay, but she shook a little less too. But yeah, she said she's fine. I think something else was going on that I cannot reveal, or if I do, I still cannot reveal anyway. But anyways, though, I think it is a little bit of a curse, so to speak, because I do document some of these day-to-day station outings. Like my goal here is to also balance the privacy of others while also learning my own conversational tactics and deepening them down. So it's kind of like a radiative zone versus a convective zone. Like inner friend groups have like this. They have a shared with each other. But the thing is, for us, that we are partially radiated. We radiate some of what we do to school and some of what we do here down onto the internet and onto the wide web. So it is kind of like a thing right there. So I think without explicit boundaries, or so to speak, there might be a few problems that would appear. But nonetheless, though, heading down to Period 5 U.S. History, today is bell work, and we have to do a quick three-sentence summary about a Native American infographic and people's thoughts about our current education system in terms of the Native American education. I also noticed the kid playing Blick get distracted, and today was lesson 3 for mission system regarding the haciendas, and we learned about the power of the narrative from perspectives of others. Though I also noticed a lot of students being late as she was explaining. She described the importance of history for Native Americans and that a deeper understanding must be pursued. And our next continuation for that was the mission system and the A activity questions today that we have to answer per each excerpt of experience of whatever was recorded then. The excerpt was by Helen Hunt, Hugo Reed, and more. Sadly, we had documents C to D to work on, but thankfully these were incredibly short. One was also by Dean Gianfranco della Perusa, excuse me on that pronunciation. And his short mention was that he said, the semblance is so perfect, almost like slavery, quote unquote. And regardless, so I was able to finish this up, and the class was mostly talkative at this point, but a few boys bundled up for some jokes. But anyways, our daily critic would go to Jude, Ted, Elizabeth, some other boys, and I still don't remember. I used to do this credit thing for my logs back in sophomore year, but I think I'm forgetting who to mention at all. But I'll do that more tomorrow because, again, as much as this is narrative, this is also shared history with at least hundreds of other people. Heading down for period 6, I struggled on my engineering for my cube project because I'm having a struggle understanding how this piece correlates to a bigger piece in a given cube. And as I was on SolidWorks, I struggled in trying to make this cube be bigger, so to speak, one of the shapes, and attempting to build it more in depth. And a lot of the people around me seemed to know what they're doing, but I'll be honest, I still did not seem to grasp it at all. But I also heard my teacher has jury duty, so he's going to be gone Wednesday, so he might not be here for a few days, sadly, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen. But I'll be honest, guys, I'm really having a lot of trouble, and I really do think that I might need a lot of help.